Welcome to the Friends and Rivals podcast.
What a fucking self-absorbed Ranger fan to really think that those were my 4 points and I was just going to pass it along to him.
Oh, look, well,
Right? What
yeah.
a fucking cock you are.
Let's talk Devils and Islanders, let's talk Penguins and Rangers, but let's not talk about Flyers, cause they're a bunch of fucks, which no one can deny,
All right, episode 20, Friends and Rivals podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Tom Harkness. With me, as always, are...
Gus Baher, whatever the hell his name is.
Oh, no, he's not doing this.
Stephen Wojtowicz.
Nick Larita.
I didn't think I had to do the work. I thought you were doing soundboard Bill.
Wait,
That's
that
soundboard Bill.
wasn't a soundbite?
Bill Fougere. Bill Fougere. We sound related.
We don't need the soundboard anymore. Billy is back this week. He didn't forsake us for another goddamn Met Philly game, which is certainly a good thing. As we come on the air, gross. We have a Rangers shutout in New Jersey tonight. Congratulations to Igor Shesterkin for his first career NHL shutout. Couldn't have come against a better team.
Fucking waste of space.
No, we have Billy back this week. I told you we don't need the soundboard.
But it's so fun.
All right, well, keep the soundboard. That's fine. I like it a lot.
It makes my job so much fucking easier.
What, that you don't have to talk?
Exactly.
Great. Now we have a new. I want that soundbite. Exactly. It's a really good one that could be used for a lot of different things. So
Yeah,
welcome back again, Bill.
Well, I think that's a really good point.
I thank you. So how was you forsaked us for the Mets Phillies game last week? So I want to report on the game. How was it? Who won?
The Mets
It doesn't
won,
matter who won. You weren't here. God damn it! You forsaked us for the fucking Mets. Ugh.
Yeah, who wouldn't?
Ugh.
Much improved certainly since the season started.
Are they really? Are they really though? Nick is typing away. What are you doing, buddy?
Just preparing the questions for later.
Oh, sweet.
Yes.
Last minute. Oh boy.
I'll get in.
Fantastic. Everyone's favorite segment is back. Impressions with Nick. I believe don't we have a theme song for Impressions with Nick? We do. We will debut it later tonight, whatever we are. When everybody listens, it's day, but we record at night. I'm gonna shut up. So
We don't know when anybody's listening. That's the thing.
well, that's a really good point.
Frank, 3 German guys, Indian. When are you listening? Let us know.
So did anything happen this week?
Pretty quiet week, I thought, right? Nothing
Well,
going
yeah,
on?
the trade deadline has finally come and gone. A lot less trades this year. Flat cap, all that stuff played into it. And I think they were down by 40% trades this year compared to last year, or somewhere around that. But I thought we had some quality over quantity, in my opinion. And starting with the local teams for sure. The Penguins made one move. They acquired. Who the hell did they acquire?
Jeff Carter.
They acquired Jeff Carter for a conditional 3rd-round pick in 2022 and a 4th-round pick in 2023. I don't think there was salary retention in there, or was there salary retention? It doesn't say on the trade tracker from TSN. So
I recall the Kings retaining about half of that salary.
yeah, they would have to, right, in order for it to make all that work.
Yeah.
So he has joined the Penguins, and by the way, Bill, it's still odd to me to see that Ron Hextall is your general manager. All of the posts I saw from that yesterday, and Hextall talking, almost made me nauseous.
Oh, it's odd for everybody. Yeah, that'll never get normal. I don't think that'll ever be like okay.
No,
That a Flyers, castaway is now the Penguins guy, but I try to keep an open mind. But yeah, I think the impressions are that it's kind of disgusting.
yeah, it was like Brian Trottier being the head coach of the Rangers. It just
The worst.
not only did it not work and failed miserably, but it didn't go. It didn't go together.
Agree. That's a really good point. Yeah, I think that's a really good point.
Yes, I do agree. That's why I make the big buck over here. So Carter's going to play on a line. Is he going? He's not playing with Crosby, right? He's going to fill some second line role until Malkin gets back.
Yeah, the Crosby line is the only one that has really been intact. Oh, gotta do the knock on wood thing or some bullshit. I don't want to jinx it, but yeah, Crosby, Gensel, and Rust are playing so well together, and they've been intact for this season. And ever since I think the early parts of the season when they were trying to kind of spread that out, once they put them together, it's been really terrific, and I don't think they want to. They're definitely not going to screw with that unless something happens to one of those guys. But I think
he'd been run over by a truck.
Well, that's a good point, Bill. Thank you for that too. But I think with Carter coming over, right now with the injuries to the second line guys, I think he could be inserted in the whatever they're calling their second line right now, and I think theoretically, if they come back healthy, I think Carter ends up being a third line guy if all of their forwards are intact. But I mean, what are the odds that all of their forwards are really going to be intact at any point the rest of the way? And I think Carter is a kind of guy that can fill in on those top two lines. He's got that kind of skill, and if they're not, putting too much burden on him in over a long haul season, then he's rejuvenated, coming to a team that looks like it's going to the playoffs. Maybe he can do some contribute. Oh boy, maybe he can contribute. Now I'm just worried about what's going to end up on the soundboard from now on.
Why? Why would you say such a thing?
Because you guys are dicks.
I don't know what you're talking about. Us?
And I know that's going on the soundboard.
So I did want to bust your balls a little bit about Mike Matheson. You complained really hard about him at the beginning of the season.
I did.
Like really, really hard. He's been probably, if not your best, one of your best defensemen over the past 10, maybe 15 games. Points wise, and maybe not a stellar night in New Jersey for one of those nights, but all the other nights, I thought maybe it was just against the Rangers, but he stood out a lot. Seemingly almost every defensive play, and even joining the rush offensively, he seemed like he was involved quite a bit.
Yeah, I think to create another soundbite, I think I need to go back to early season me and tell myself to shut the fuck up about Mike Matheson, because I got to admit, like I mean, if you really saw the game he played when he debuted and his first few games with the Penguins, it was absolutely brutal. He's not. He's a really great skater, yet somehow kind of back on his heels in the defensive zone. But he's kind of learned to not chase the play too much and let the play come to him a little bit. And he's better in sync with his defensive line mates. And so he's not an awful liability right now defensively. And to your point, like he's leading the rush. I don't remember, including Letang, I don't remember a Pittsburgh Penguin defenseman over the last 2 decades that I've seen in one season come in on so many breakaways. I mean, he really does have another gear that he could turn on out there. And so I'm not ready to absolve him of all of his defensive woes, but yeah, he's definitely added something.
You know who he's never really complained about though?
Radim Zahorna from the Czech Republic.
He's too tall. Fucking waste of space.
You can't do the clips from the soundboard. It's not the same.
Hit himself in the face with it.
You're doing it wrong.
So another team who made a big splash in the trade market was the New York Islanders. In fact, day after we recorded last week's podcast, the Islanders and the Devils made a trade that involved Kyle Palmieri and Pat Sajak for AJ Green, Mason Jobst, a first-round pick in 2021, and a fourth in 2022.
Right. And that fourth can become a third if the Isles make the Stanley Cup Finals in either 2022 or 2023. So it's a conditional pick, but it's
2023 because the draft. No, yeah.
So they would have to make the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
They can choose which pick it is. So it's not this year's. It'd be the 2022 or 2023 pick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, one of the two. So they have the option if they make the Cup final. So I mean, if they make the Stanley Cup final, I don't care if it moves up to a third. That's fine. Whatever. We made it. It did what we needed to do anyway. But it was the move we kind of talked about. I think a lot of people have been speculating for a while. Palmieri would go over to. I'm unmuted. Good. Never mind. They thought that Palmieri would go over to the Isles as part of a deal for maybe like a second or who knows what. I was hoping it wouldn't be a first, but it was surprising to me that we would get both Palmieri and Zajac. And it makes sense to make that a full first for those two guys. I'm not thrilled about losing a first, even though, it's one of those years that, you read about and they're like, oh, all of the draft guys are like, it's a weak year in the draft this year. Whatever the fuck that means. Unless it's like a stellar year, I think like every year, a lot of people will talk that up until the draft comes up and then everyone's like, my guy's the best guy.
Right.
So,
They got to drop some hype to get friggin' people to watch their draft shows.
So,
I agree.
Yeah, I don't really buy into that so much, but at the end of the day, though, we upgraded in the sense where we grabbed two guys that can definitely help in the playoffs. Both have plenty of experience. Zajac is a center also who can move around if we need to. Looked like he, as of today or the last game, he was playing up with Barzal, and
I don't know. To me, he kind of looked out of place playing with Barzal. I don't think he belongs up there with him. My opinion. My opinion. That's all.
No, and that's fine.
Well, maybe that's bad choice of words. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe him not belonging is the wrong choice of words. I don't think the fit is right between those two.
I don't think he's got the speed to keep up with a Barzell. It just doesn't work for him.
Yeah, I'll get into that a little bit later. My 4 points about how they're fitting in, but for now he was sitting up there on the first line, being able to be, if Barzal gets kicked out of the center the face-off circle, Zajac can fit in there if necessary. And they really want someone who can grind and kind of get into the boards and do all the little things. That's why Komarov in that spot with Lee out, because Lee normally in that spot is in front of the net doing, just pushing people around and trying to deflect shots. And it's hard to replace that. We all thought Palmieri would go there, and maybe he will over course of time. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, so it was an interesting trade from our side of the fence. Steve, what did you think about that trade since it affected your team as well?
I mean, they were both going. Well, Palmieri was definitely going. The fact that Zajac waived his no trade clause was great because I think that elevated that pick from a second round to a first round.
I think so too.
I have no idea why AJ Greer and Mason Jopes were even involved in the trade.
Wait, it's not AJ Green?
No, it's AJ Greer.
Wait, it's not Sam Greer?
Who the hell is AJ Green?
Exactly. He's a wide receiver for the Bengals.
The Bengals, right.
So why were those two guys included?
It's a numbers thing. It's just the contracts. We had to send 2 contracts. We were at max contract. We had to send 2.
Oh, okay. All right, then it does make sense. Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, there's no reason to send 2 guys like that. They're both minor league guys, and to be honest,
you take like the 39th and the 40th guy in your 40-man depth chart, you send them over, and that frees up 2 spaces.
Yeah, because they're taking up contract spots.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm happy we got a first. I know, it's going to be in that 25 to 30, 30 range probably.
Could be, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they weren't going to do much for us the rest of the year in terms of taking the team to the next level. So why not move them for something?
Yep. And then the Isles, because Devils also retained half the money on those deals, allowed the Isles to have a bit more money, and they were able to pick up Braden Coburn from Ottawa Senators as well.
I think a very underrated move. I think Coburn's going to do well for you guys in the playoffs.
I think he will. I am really interested to see where they slot him, because they have 6 defensemen. They played 6 defensemen all year. So it'd be interesting to see if they did just have him as the 7th guy, or just try to rotate him in and give him some time. And I don't know. Could be interesting.
Look, you guys got one fucking job in the next 2 games, and that's to beat the Bruins in Boston the next 2 games. That's all you got to do. In regulation,
very good.
No overtime, no shootout, no bullshit. Regulation time. That's what we need.
I hope so too. We're getting closer to the end of the season. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the league has gotten the top of the league from the number 1 to number 7. It's only 4-point difference. It's going to be interesting to see this sprint, because there's only so many games that, we're not going to have a huge separation, but it could mean a lot in the playoffs in terms of home ice. So really going to be interesting to watch.
So Steve, the Devils lost 4 players, 2 to trades. Well, no, where's the 4th player? Oh yeah,
no, 5 players total. You got Palmieri and Zajac.
Yeah.
Kulikov to Edmonton.
Yeah.
Vatanen on waivers.
I forgot Vatanen on waiver. Yeah.
And Gusev on waiver.
Now, Gusev, man, you guys had high hopes for him this year. I think everybody had high hopes for him this year. And
he came over from the KHL and was setting it on fire over there. He was supposed to be, maybe not Panarin, but kind of he was going to take that role as the best player in the KHL to come over to the NHL. And he started slow last year, but he seemed to figure it out as the season went on. And this year it was like he'd never picked up a hockey stick before. There was no explanation for it.
now you guys still have his contract, or what happens with his contract because of terminations? I mean, it doesn't go as a buyout, and I don't see him on cap friendly at all under the Devils.
Maybe, well, he was done at the end of the year. So maybe they just pay him all the money he was due for the rest of the season, and he's effectively a free agent.
Yeah, but wouldn't his number still go affect the Devils cap for the remainder of this year if that was true?
I don't know. That's the technicality. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, because I'm on cap friendly and I don't see him anywhere on here unless they buried him in the AHL.
No, because they would have had to. Well,
He did
clear waivers. Yeah. So I guess
I
technically they could have done that.
Yeah, I don't know what happens to his contract for that termination stuff. But losing Vatanen to Dallas,
Apparently his underlying statistics, were just atrocious.
yeah, I get it, but the whole point to sign him this year was, one, to get you through the year and then trade him at the deadline, and to let him go.
Nobody wanted him.
Well, obviously Dallas wanted him.
No, Dallas wanted him, but they didn't want to give up anything to get him.
Yeah, I kind of got that.
So then they get him for free.
At full freight, whatever the freight was.
Right.
$1.5 million.
Yeah.
Whatever is remaining on that.
Yeah.
And Kulikov went to the Oilers for a conditional draft pick in 2022.
Fourth becomes a third if the Oilers win the first round of the playoffs, which I think they've got a great shot at doing.
Yeah, so you have 2 first round picks this year with your own and the Islanders, which will be probably a late round first round pick. You have your second rounder is the Islanders pick, so that's another late round pick. You got Buffalo's in there, which is good, and then you got Arizona's in there. So next year you certainly got
no. The Arizona pick, one of the Arizona or New Jersey third round picks goes for the Siegenthaler pickup.
Yeah, but it's still listed.
It's because the condition was whichever one is higher, and the Arizona pick would be higher if Taylor Hall signs there, which isn't going to happen.
Oh, right. There's still a condition on Taylor Hall?
Because he's going to be in Boston for the rest of his career. They're going to sign him to a 10-year, $8-year, $10 million contract after this season, I'm sure.
Right. And
ask Taylor Hall. That's what he'll tell you. He really wants to play there for the rest of his career.
Oh, I'm sure he does.
After he really wanted to play in Buffalo for the rest of his career.
Wow.
After he really wanted to play in Arizona for the rest of his career. After he really wanted to play in New Jersey for the rest of his career.
The Caps third is a conditional that came back, or that went to the Capitals.
Yeah.
For Siegenthaler.
Right. 24 years old, left-handed defenseman. He's, big body.
I always liked him in Washington.
Hopefully
I didn't unlike.
He only played 7 games this season. That's what they said. He'd only played 7 games for Washington this season.
And it was not like he was eating up cap space. He was making $800,000. He's a restricted free agent at the end of the year.
They just didn't have space for him.
Yeah, I mean, all right, good for them.
You know what I like to say? One man's trash, that's another man's treasure.
Do you say
Very
that?
wise.
Do you say that?
All the
and
time.
what's another one?
Soundboard Stevie's going to say that a lot.
I know. And another one of your stupid sayings at the trade deadline. What is it? The player going out is always.
Oh yeah. No, the other one is Tom's a fucking asshole. That's my other saying. The other one.
More wisdom.
Yeah.
Oh, so speaking of fucking assholes, all this hubbub about Taylor Hall, and he goes for like a second round pick and Bjork, the singer, and Curtis Lazar goes back to the Sabres the other way. I mean, they a second round pick and a singer for Taylor Hall and Curtis Lazar.
There was a whole bunch of jokes on Twitter about all the other players that went for better capital than that from one team to another.
Yeah, just look at friggin'
Mantha. That was like 5. That was like 5 players for one.
We're gonna get it. We're definitely gonna get into that for sure. But you mean, look at Palmieri. He basically went for the first. Zajac went for the fourth. It's basically what happened. So Palmieri went for a first. Taylor Hall didn't go for a first. I don't know. I don't know.
So I'm just so happy that he didn't sign the contract when it was offered to him from Ray Shero, that he held out to go to free agency to make more money.
What was that deal rumored to be? Did you remember that one?
I want to say it was like an 8-year, $9 million, and he thought he was going to get in the double digits.
I don't think he's going to see that money ever again.
No, nope.
No, of course he's not. Sabres and Bruins. Looks like they're gonna go to a shootout. 2-2. Great job, Buffalo. Well done. So the Lightning made a couple of moves that required a third-party team in order to eat some more cap space. People have been calling this circumvention of the cap. Other have been calling it just good, smart business and abiding by the letter of the law that was put out by the NHL. Opinions?
Letter of the law again. Yeah, it is a form of circumvention, and it's allowed, and they're going to let it go. And this is going to become something that they throw back at the players the next time there's a contract to be had. It's like, hey, players, this is your fault that this is happening, and now we've got to put some rule in place, and you've got to give us more money back because we can't have this anymore. It's the same bullshit all the time. It's the owners that come up with this shit, and then it's the owners that complain about the state of it. That's
I don't disagree with you. And to help out Tampa Bay, the rich getting richer, and even helping out Toronto. I mean, they got two pretty decent players on their team for picks going out, and how they fit it under the contract. I mean, you need those teams in order to facilitate that. They made it happen.
Hey, I mean, look, it's legal trades. I mean, I think the biggest offender of any of this, like cap circumvention, is the whole. In Tampa, you got Kucherov coming back off the long term right before the playoffs come in, and there's no penalty for that happening at all. It's just okay. His contract is no longer against the cap, so because of LTIR, so we pay. And once you get to the playoffs, there's no extension of that. There's no locking it in.
Which is funny. Which is funny because you had to be on a roster by yesterday.
Yes.
To be considered for the playoff.
Yes.
This is where I was going to go, Steve. I was going to say it should be that you have to play some number of games, because that would mean that you actually had your cap money had to be used towards the cap. Like for us, we use Lee's money to get other players, and it works in that sense, right? Like we're not penalized so heavily because one of our major players, is out for the year, and we have cap room now to work with it and facilitate trades. But for like Tampa, like what the hell is this bullshit? They just get back a player of Kucherov's caliber. Oh, he just like $8-9 million guy. Just comes back and it's fine. It doesn't matter.
So should long-term IR make you inactive for the rest of that season and playoffs?
I think it should. I think there's. Well, I don't think it's that. I think there should be rules around it that make sense. So if you miss like 90% of the games, you can't come back just without a cap hit. Like if you come back, your cap hit has to fit or something. There's got to be a way to make that work.
That's like a gunner. That's like a gunner on a punt, just running out of bounds around the other team's bench and then coming back in to tackle the guy.
Yeah, it's a free $8 or $9 million guy, right? Whatever he's making a year. Just okay, he's not there, then we get to use the money for something else, and then he comes back and we're good. So their cap hit at the end, if you add him back on, like what's that going to look like in terms of the overall cap hit? It's going to be something absurd, I'm sure.
I think their overall cap hit right now is something like $93 million. I think
they're
on
98 projected cap hit right now.
Sorry, 98. Sorry, my 98. Bad.
Yeah, they have. They're still eating up Marian Gabourik's $4.8 million a year. One more just for this year of his LTIR numbers.
Yep.
Kucherov is 9.5. Anders Nilsson 2.6. So the guy John Ruta, he's 1.3 million. They have $18.275 million in LTIR space. And half of that comes back like that.
Right.
That's
just in time for the playoffs.
Just
in time for the playoffs. Good for them. Gusev did sign with the Florida Panthers for $1 million prorated for the rest of the year.
Good for him. Fuck off.
So with that, I was a little perplexed by that whole thing. Did you just not work out at all? And they just mutually said, you get the fuck out of here. And he was like, I'm fucking leaving.
It just, I swear, if I knew what went wrong, I would be the richest man in New Jersey, because nobody can figure out why he went from the player he was last year to the player he was this year. I'm interested. Let's see if anything changes in Florida. If it does, then maybe you point to coaching. But if nothing changes, maybe you point to COVID. I don't know. He had it, when they all got it. Not that he was playing great before that, but maybe it's just the after effects.
What did they give up to get him? Pretty much
nothing. He's free agent.
Cut him. He
As soon
got
as the
cut. He
contract was
got cut.
terminated.
He
Oh.
become a free agent. Yeah, that's why he winds up signing for really low because he's still making all that money on the New Jersey side of the contract.
No, I'm saying the Devils give him to get him, then they trade for him.
Oh,
Yeah, it was with
third round pick, I think, with the Knights.
Vegas.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
third
Second
rounder
or
sounds right.
second or a third.
No, I think the third was right, Steve.
Yeah. He was never going to crack their lineup, so didn't
Did
really
anybody,
matter.
did anybody notice Michael Raffle got traded from the Flyers? Fuck the Flyers.
Fuck
the,
the
The Flyers.
To the Capitals. Did anybody see that? Did anybody notice
No.
that? It happened.
It's breaking it probably
20
breaks a lot of hearts because I know people in Philly liked him.
Good. Fuck them.
Well, what do the Capitals need with another dirty forward? I mean, they
That's
got
what
Tom Wilson. What do you think with another creep?
Maybe they fear that Tom Wilson's going to do something to get suspended for the rest of the season in the playoffs, so they need another dickhead in their lineup. I don't know.
Maybe they got him to Tom Wilson during a practice.
Well, maybe it's also that they look at it as when the playoffs they're only playing one of three other teams first two rounds. So maybe they look at it as we want to rough up one of those
Toughen up,
teams.
yeah.
I mean, he could slot in and just help with that at angle, or just be another grinder for the playoffs. Someone goes down. I mean, they could probably fit him in somewhere.
Well,
Just
another
like,
thing that could play
yeah,
into that is they
roll.
did trade Verana, Panic, and two big time picks for Anthony Manta of the Detroit Red Wings.
Right.
I thought they were trading those two players to make the money work, which it seems like it did. And it seems like they were a guy short in Michael Raffle. That's why they made that. I guess they made that deal. But Anthony Manta, Michael Raffle coming in, replacing Verana and Panic. I thought Verana was playing really, really good for the Capitals. Seemed to fit in, playing the system very well. To give up on a player like that, I should have done some research and found out exactly how old he was and all that other horse shit.
Yeah, it's an interesting trade because this is them buying 3 years of Mantha essentially at a cap like
5.75.
5.7. Yeah, 5.7. Verana is RFA. He's gonna have to sign
With
he might sign
arbitration.
right. He might sign for similar money. He might be a little more, but I think the problem they have is that they look at it as, hey, we know what you have with Verana. And they also were able to get rid of, but they wanted to get obviously a guy that they felt would fit better, maybe underutilized in Detroit. But they also got rid of a Panic's deal for, I think he's like it was a couple million a year for 2 more years.
But dude,
And-
this is a haul, man. This is Verana, Panic, a 2021 first round pick, and a
Yes,
2022 second.
So that's the
this
thing.
is a fucking haul. I didn't look.
So they-
Manta was pretty good, but I didn't think he was this fucking good.
So at face value, before you add the first and second, it looks like just a dump of assets and switching it, right? You're like,
Agreed.
okay, you know what? Maybe this is the idea. They're giving up on a guy that, by the way, if you look at their numbers and you look at where their goals are coming from, Mantha, he's got a pretty good chunk of his goals on the power play. He's got a pretty good breakdown.
I think the
maybe
Caps
like-
got a pretty good guy in the power play. I'm not sure. I think they already got a good guy who's on the power play.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
1,000 goal scorer.
John
He's-
Carlson.
Yes, John Carlson. No, I was talking Nicholas Backstrom actually.
Yeah, but anyway, so he's good. He's not getting all of his goals from my point was he's not an even strength guy. Like he's kind of mixed. He plays top line minutes, where he can. He's not going to be playing top line minutes with. I don't think he'll be with the Washington Caps. Maybe he does. Maybe they slot him in or something. But the other guy that they sent over, dude, his numbers are like almost all of his goals were even strength. I mean, you look at the goal, like their numbers, and I was like, I couldn't believe how little. What's the guy's name that we were talking about in Washington? Went to
Verana.
Detroit. Verana's stats. I couldn't believe it how good it was to regular even strength, and he's got quite a number of goals. It was pretty surprising. 24 goals last 2018-19, only one on the power play. 25 goals last year, one on the power play. 11 and 39, 0 on the power play. He's not getting power play minutes, at least not a lot of them, and that's a lot of goals on even strength. And that's pretty good. I'd want that guy. Now I don't watch the two of these guys too much. I don't know if you guys really watch them too much like closely, but it seems at face value these guys are not that different. Maybe one guy who's in Detroit is maybe under not playing at the best of his abilities because the team sucks. But then you had the first and the second pick going to Detroit. That's a fucking haul.
That's a
Verana?
fucking haul.
Verana first and a second, I would take that all day for Mantha because there is no guarantee that Mantha's going to be like all of a sudden an 80-point player a year or 60-point even. We don't know. I mean, he hasn't had like there's like okay the whole like hey he's got these he's made these plays are great. but he isn't. The guys around him aren't great. But here's the key: Stevie Yzerman made that trade. He is a hell of a talent evaluator.
But I'm just
And
trying to figure out what Washington was trying to get rid of. If the contracts work and they're almost exactly the same between the three guys, how do the picks fit into this? I don't get it.
I think it has to do with you may have mentioned earlier today on the call on the podcast was that they have to sign Ovechkin, and they may have a
I
couple
said
of
it
guys
was
they
off
gotta
air,
sign.
but yes, the bidding war for Alex Ovechkin in the offseason. I'm gonna do it.
Ovi's not taking like a discount. I don't think he is. He's
Would you?
taking.
Would you?
Yeah, he's
Absolutely
scoring.
not.
He's scoring such a rate. You're like, you have to pay the guy a lot
Does
of
he have
money.
76 goals this year? I mean, it might as well be.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that they got to get rid of the other deal, Panic's deal, and then they get they know exactly what they're paying for with Manta. I think that's and they're getting 3 years of him, and I think that's the whole idea is they get some control over their finances comparatively because they don't know what they're getting for
next
Rana.
year and a second the following year to do that.
I don't agree with that. I think that's way overpaid. I looked at this deal and I was like, I had to look at the numbers, the guys.
I was floored when I saw this
It
deal.
doesn't make sense to me. I thought like if you did that with one or the other, fine. If you sent the second or the first, I'd be like, that's
But with
steep.
with the two players and either one of those picks doesn't matter which one, it's still a goddamn haul.
It is.
Not
It
Taylor
is.
Hall. Hall Haul.
Detroit's they're gonna make out, and this is gonna be. I think in their view, it's gonna be a really good deal for them. I think Verana's gonna be. What if Verana and Mantha never really differentiate in terms of their play? And you just gave a first and second away for like what, some extra money? I mean, it's
and Verana's only making what 3.3 this year, and he's arbitration eligible. And based on his stats, he's gonna make what 4.5 next year. For the next 2 years, he's still a lower cap hit than what Math is going to be.
I think he's going to make more than that.
He's going to be in the 5 or 5.5. But okay.
I mean, the last 2 years he's had 24 and 25 goals, and then this year's got 11.
Look, I get it. I just don't think that first round pick and the second round pick going over justify any of that fucking trade.
Oh, no.
I just don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Don't understand it.
Yeah, it's baffling to me that I feel I was reading it and I'm like, I don't care how much money they save on this or they think they are. That's a lot of assets they're throwing away just to make this guy happen. They think Manta's like going to be amazing in that team. And that's, I think, the only reason that they must think he's going to be a point per game player. I can't see what else they're doing. We'll see. Be interesting.
If you look at the Caps next year, UFAs are Raffle. Who cares? Connor Sheary and Zdeno Chara. They're and Alex Ovechkin. They're your UFAs next year for the Washington Capitals. And without that, you're pretty close to the cap.
Yeah, they're at projected 70. I mean, they're not going to sign. They don't have to sign anybody but Ovechkin.
Samsonov is gonna. Well, they got to sign Samsonov, and he's gonna demand probably 2.5, 3 to be a number one.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that. Yep,
for next
Samsonov.
year. So I mean, you're looking at what 42.8 and 24. Really, why aren't you doing this fucking math? So they're at 67 right there. All right, they can probably fit that in with Ovechkin making $12 million next year.
Well, it'll be interesting. They're gonna there'll be a team that's gonna be interesting to watch for their.
Somebody will come in and help them out, and they'll fit them in.
Yeah, but the assets to in order for them to get helped out have already been dealt in this stupid fucking deal. I don't get it. Well, look, they can trade Carl Hagelin for whatever reason. Carl Hagelin still has a lot of trade value, and that's almost $3 million off the books, and they can get an entry level contract to replace Carl Hagelin.
Yeah, and you got to remember too, the Seattle expansion draft's coming, so they're going to have to expose people regardless, and they'll give everybody some cap room depending on who gets taken, obviously. But that could also factor to this trade. This is kind of now where they're pretty much locked in.
I hear you. Mantha doesn't have any sort of protection on his contract whatsoever. So you can expose him, but you're not going to want to.
No. He's not. He's not going to want to. No. He's not going to be.
So you could see a player like Carl Hagelin or Lars Eller, somebody like that, be on the expansion list for Seattle to come in and pluck.
Yeah, Eller, Hagelin, they could potentially, but we'll see.
Yep, and the other notable player that really was traded yesterday wasn't really yesterday, it was the day prior to that, was Nick Foligno going from the Blue Jackets to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
He's really excited about that first round exit.
Well, I think it's a different. I mean,
if they lose in the first round this year, literally just put TNT around the arena and blow that fucking thing up because
Oh man.
Do that anyway.
No, they should get out of that division. I mean, that side, I don't know what that side's gonna do.
You would
I-
have to think that the Maple Leafs have the inside track to get out of that division for sure. I mean, with and just cakewalking through it.
yeah, I mean, I definitely have them as one of my top 5 teams.
Well, I mean that's a really excellent segue, Steve. So, who are the top 5 teams in the league this year?
I'm
Steve?
going to go first, and I'm going to take the easy way out, right? So Washington, Colorado, Toronto, Tampa, obviously all leading their respective divisions, whatever credit card company is sponsoring whichever division.
Wait,
and then
Honda's
I'm going to say,
Honda's not a credit card company.
and then I'm going to say Vegas is number 5.
So you basically just took the NHL standings and just went 1 through 5. One
Exactly
through
what you did.
Okay. I was just checking.
Tom, this is why the people come to this podcast for the hard-hitting insight like that. I think you need to get on board.
I'm sorry, Billy. You need to get back into the swing of things. Who are your top 5 players? Not players. Top 5 teams in the NHL right now.
Well, I think you make a really good point. Right now, so we're not talking about when Kucherov returns to the Tampa Lightning in the playoffs. I'm gonna say Tampa's not one of the 5 best teams in the league right now.
Whoa! What?
They're scuffling a little bit, and I'm not worried about them per se, but I don't think they're a top 5 team right now. I think you got your Carolina. You got your Florida down there in the Discover Central Division. You got the definitely. I think the Colorado Avalanche are among the best, probably the best. I would think right now. And then I'm gonna put in from the Mass Mutual East, the New York Islanders, and because I'm ignoring all Canadian teams. I mean, what the fuck do they ever do? And the Pittsburgh Penguins.
You're such a fucking homer. Jesus Christ.
You want to know why? You want to know why? Because
no, we don't want to know why. We already know why. Because you're a fucking homer. That's why.
No, because I got numbers to back me up. You know who the top team over the last 30 games of this NHL season is? Who has the most points? That would be the Pittsburgh Penguins at 38 points in their last 30 games. That's better than Tampa. That's better than Colorado. You're going to the soundboard?
No, just
Better than Carolina, Toronto, or Vegas. So I'm going with the Penguins, and yeah, I can see how I could be called a homer, but it's
no, Bill.
I did my homework on it though.
Oh, a homer, not a homo, a homer.
Yeah, that's a well. I think that's a really good point.
Thank you, me.
All right.
I like Billy.
And Bill, who's your number 6 team?
The Neil Morse band.
They're not a team, Bill.
But they're so dreamy.
They're not a team.
They are a team. Have you seen them in concert?
No.
That is teamwork. Trust me.
Their starting 5 is impeccable.
I said at the beginning of this season that the best team in the East, regardless of what that was going to be the Carolina Hurricanes, and they're pretty much proving me right thus far this year. So it's going to be Colorado, Washington, Carolina, Florida, and Tampa are going to round up my top 5. I know I went out on a limb there. A lot, 3 teams. I don't count Toronto. I'm sorry. They're just a product of their shitty fucking division.
Wow.
And the shitty hockey that happens north of the border. That's right. I said it, Canada.
I agree.
I think you make a really good point.
Thank you, Bill.
I can't even tell if that's the soundboard or not.
Real Bill. Not even soundboard Bill. Thank you, real Bill.
Fucking waste of space.
Wait, soundboard Bill or real Bill?
They sound identical. Can't tell. Well, so I got a pretty a similar take here. I don't have Toronto in my top. Actually, I don't have anybody in the 2 divisions. I have all 5 teams from 2 of the 4 divisions. None from our metro. I got Tampa, Carolina, Florida, Vegas, and Colorado. Those 5 teams, I think, are going to be the top 5 teams in the league. I think they're the front runners to
What's the front leg? As opposed to the real leg?
Yeah, I don't know. That was pretty bad. So anyway,
Hit himself in the face with it.
that's about right. So anyway, I think those teams are clearly in my opinion, the teams to watch. I don't think it matters at a certain point. I think really the top teams are Tampa and Colorado. Top 2, in my opinion. I think Vegas is right behind them, and then Carolina, Florida behind them. I think Washington and Isles and Pittsburgh, you can flip a coin on who's going to be the better team that night. Washington, Isles, and I think the Penguins have really had our number, Isles number, but between the Washington and Isles has been very close every game. And to be honest, I think it's a coin flip on who's going to make it out of that section anyway. Yeah. So regardless of that, it's only going to be one team from each division in the end. So it's kind of like you can look at that. I think Toronto doesn't matter if they make it all the way to the semifinals. I think they're going to get smoked by whomever is in whoever they play in the next round, and then we'll see how it goes from there. But I really hope they end up playing the winner from one of the top two divisions and just get absolutely crushed. I mean,
so since my boys are out of it and you guys are all so down on Toronto, I think I am adopting Toronto as my team when the playoffs come around.
Ugh, you would.
I mean, you and the refs are going to be rooting for them, aren't you?
Yep.
Yeah. It's like jumping on the big Yankees bandwagon. It's only the biggest team in the entire league. Sure.
No, you guys are all down on them. I don't know. Nobody else picked them, so I will officially adopt them come playoff time.
Steve, knock yourself out. No, really.
Yeah.
Knock yourself out. Ugh.
If they can't score goals, they're going to have a hard time winning games.
I mean, isn't that the secret for any team, though? If you don't score goals, you're not going to win games.
Sure, but they've let up 112 goals, and that's not good. That's not top 5, man. That's barely top 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's 10th in the league.
And in that division where Connor McDavid's only doing so much of that damage.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that division, if you look at it, Nashville is the 4th team, and they're barely above 500. I mean, the number of goals scored in that division is ridiculous. I don't think anybody's playing defense there. It's not. Detroit has 99 goals. They suck.
That's one less of 100.
It's terrible.
That's one less than the Buffalo Sabres, by the way.
Think about that. Anyway,
think about that. And it's wow.
I think the time has come.
Oh, it's time for everybody's favorite segment, Impressions with Nick.
Don't take chances with a new impression. Only $9.95 to keep it in condition at Loretta, at Loretta, at Loretta. Impressions only $9.95 at Loretta Impressions.
What's your thoughts on your top defenseman leaving in the middle of the game to see the birth of his first child? Does he even want to be part of this team in this playoff push?
Listen, in my country, you have to walk 5 kilometers in snow to hospital from hometown. It's a beautiful thing. Man and lady friend make baby. Maybe he name, if boy, maybe he name boy Oleg. Strong name. If girl, maybe giveaway. Yes?
Your captain has been the best player for your team this year. So is Sidney Crosby the best player in the NHL?
When he cry, he remind me of my friend's daughter playing hockey. Fall on ice a lot. Make scene like he spilled borscht. When he not cry, pretty good player. Would be better if Russian. He watched Gino on a bench, learn how to play a game right way.
What do you make of Tony D'Angelo's off ice issues and his political Twitter rants?
He introduced me to a lady friend Ivanka. Very nice lady. He's not a bad guy. Why everybody have to be mad at him? I don't understand. I talked to Tony last night. He come back, make Blue Line great again. But this good point. I tell comrade Tony to vote for Putin. Okay, I have to leave. Bye-bye.
That was another stellar your Russian is gotten pretty good. Your English has gotten pretty good. Your Russian English has gotten really good. So I'm going to say you were Putin.
I was Putin. Oh, man.
Spectacular.
Oh. All right. Wasn't Putin. Wasn't Putin.
No. You were wrong. Ha ha.
I wasn't. It wasn't
wrong.
Putin.
Yeah. No, it was not Putin.
Oh, how could it not be Putin?
It was actually, I've been a good guess. He did play hockey in those things. All right. You're out. Steve, you get your guess.
Damn it.
See, I was going to say Malkin because Bill's question was your captain has been the best player. So is Sidney the best player in the NHL? So I feel like it's got to be somebody from the Penguins. Maybe I'm just thinking too much into this.
Yeah, but I don't recall a defenseman leaving in the middle of the game to see the birth of his first kid.
Are you guys thinking way too hard on this? too hard
Okay.
on that part.
Okay.
Just ignore those possible things. There's just questions thrown out there.
But
I wasn't that
then you're
crafty.
probably not Shesterkin.
I gave you a big hint in the thing that I thought you'd get it when I said it.
What did you say?
It's too late now. You gotta guess.
Fuck's sake. Don't be like Tom. Just what did you fucking say?
What do you mean, like me?
That's some bullshit you would fucking pull.
Wouldn't do
Well,
something.
I'll do-
No,
let me
no,
do-
I
I'll
already
do my
said it.
guess- I'll do my guess first, and then we just go to
Go ahead.
whatever
Go ahead,
the
Bill.
sentence again.
Go ahead, Bill. Go ahead, Bill.
Borat.
No. I just that would have been good, but no.
Russian. He's not from fucking wherever, Kazakhstan. It's the same? Are they the same?
Yeah, they're the same. It's all the same. It's yeah.
Why you have to be mad? Oh
Who's
God.
that? Is it the goalie?
Ilya
Ilya
Ilya Brizgalov?
Yeah.
Brizgalov.
You didn't talk about space or anything.
I have to talk
The
about space.
universe
He's
is
Russian.
humongous big.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Whatever.
It was definitely somebody Russian.
Yeah, but still, it was.
I
stellar.
threw in the "Why you have to be mad," which was like his major quote when in that one of his interviews. I thought you'd get it, but that's all right.
Well, it was
Can't
still
all be winners.
beautiful. Still
Can't all be
beautiful.
winners.
Your Russian.
wasn't-
accent-
Listen,
your Russian
I'll have to,
accent's still
I
stellar.
didn't think you guys would go so like oh man.
Yeah,
who
we
is it?
we
Who
thought
left
about
in
it
the
way
middle of the
too
game?
much.
I was
We
like,
thought
Jesus.
about it way too fucking much.
I just made up those questions on the fly. I was like, all right, this is gonna put this together. All right, I'll have to be a little craftier next time for sure.
Really bothered me.
Sorry, Bill.
That soundboard, Bill. He's pissed off a lot.
All right, 4-point night, Billy. Go ahead.
Oh, just so abruptly like that. Oh
Talk
my god!
That's
about-
right on the fucking
brilliant-
spot.
Brilliant segues. Let's talk about brilliant segues. That was beautiful.
It was perfect. You weren't here last week. You go first. Let's go.
Fucking waste of
Okay.
space.
I know he is.
Okay, is he gonna be quiet for my 4 points? Soundboard,
Absolutely
Bill.
not.
Is who going to be quiet?
Bill Fougere.
I guess that's my answer. Okay, so last week, while I was soundboarding and mailing in my presence here, you guys were talking about a topic which is going to be my first point because you just didn't really give it the justice that it deserved here. So last week you brought up what was your word before, Steve? A cockbag?
Yeah.
You guys were bringing up a cockbag named Brandon Dubinsky and his opinions on Sidney Crosby. And I got a little something to say about that for my first point. So I think you all made good points. And Soundboard Bill said that quite a bit last week. I've got no issue with anybody that, I'm a Crosby guy, but I have no issue with anybody who wants to take Ovechkin over Crosby for any reason. But Dubinsky weighing in on this when he had such an obvious contentious relationship with Crosby, it just to me was pathetic. He's just sore from being bounced from the playoffs 3 different times in his career by Crosby and the Penguins, and every time that he was playing against the Penguins, his method of he'd be the guy who was given the assignment by John Tortorella to go bother Crosby the whole game. And so every shift he'd be cross-checking him and sleuthing him and jabbing him, poking him or holding or whatever over and over all game long. And then he's got the audacity to say, well, Crosby complained to the fucking referees a lot. Like, what the fuck is he going to do? Yeah, I'm sure he did complain to the referees more during games where he played against Dubinsky than any other game because Dubinsky was hanging all over him like the proverbial cheap suit. So
Yeah, I think that's a really good point.
yeah, thank you. I right on, Bill. Right on, Sam. So for him to say that when he's got that agenda, and he starts he goes into his tweet or whatever saying, "I never said he wasn't better than me." Well, Jesus Christ, nobody was looking for that fucking clarification, Dubinsky. There was not one person on planet Earth who was wondering, "Oh, does Dubinsky think he's better than Crosby?" Because come on. And then he also said in his tweet, that he knows what he's talking about because he used to play in the NHL. Well, so did Mike Milbury, and that guy's a fucking dope. So I don't know what the hell that proves either. Oh, you played in the NHL. Good for fucking you.
That actually is a really good point, Bill.
Thank you.
That actually is
Soundboard Tom.
No, that wasn't soundboard. That was live,
Oh.
Tom.
Okay. So all right. So I said my part there.
So you're saying we should have held off on that segment until you were actually live with us?
No. I had some
You're
fun
right,
going
because
back to that point.
It wouldn't have been topical this week. It was topical last week.
Oh,
You
well.
were going to the fucking Mets game.
Well, I was just pent up. Plus, you guys didn't use my what I pre-recorded either. So
We
What am
don't
I
use anything pre-recorded in this podcast, Billy. Nothing, not one thing is pre-recorded in this podcast. Everything is live every week.
You make a really good point. So other points. So the Penguins were playing the Devils this week. I had the opportunity to attend a Devils game as they were hosting the Penguins last Friday night, I think it was. And I've got a
well, I think that's a really good point.
yeah. Thanks again, soundboard Bill. PK Subban, that guy. You know, I watched him in the pregame skate a little bit. The dude's an athletic freak. I mean, his feet are so quick. His hands are so good. Yet he played 2 games against the Penguins and was an absolute non-factor. Yeah, he scored a goal by pushing Jari and the puck into the net that the Penguins didn't want to challenge because the referees had just hosed the Devils on a challenge earlier in the game. So I don't think they wanted to chance it. But besides that, like, he's such a physical presence. He's such a non-factor on the blue line that I'm just wondering, has anybody ever brought up the point that maybe he's playing the wrong position? I feel like this guy could be a hell of a forward.
What you think he's a? I don't know. I don't think he's got the body type for a forward. He just doesn't strike me as a forward. He strikes me as a defenseman. That's it.
I think
Body
part of the
type?
problem is
Maybe not body
is
type.
he doesn't know what kind of defenseman he wants to be. Does he want to be a physical defenseman or does he want to be an offensive defenseman? He's trying to do a little bit of both, and you can't do that.
Well, he's physical when he catches up to people. Like he's a guy, like he's a good skater, but reminds me a little of Matheson because the play gets a little bit too advanced for him, and he's not really a factor in everything. But I mean, when he catches up to you, he can be physical. But he just doesn't seem to have a lot of vision when he's moving the puck out of his own end. He's not very good in front of his own net.
This is fucking great. Yeah, no, use one of your points to shit on my fucking team. Awesome. Thanks. Can we go to your next fucking point already?
No, I like
pleasure.
this is a good one. Stay here.
Christ.
Stay here. I like this one.
But I feel like I'm going to just say one more thing, and then I'll be done with Subban. Is just I feel like he could be like a poor man's Ovechkin on a power play somewhere, just sitting around in that right circle, just waiting to use that big shot of his.
He doesn't hit the net though.
I agree with
Maybe
that.
he would if he was closer, if he wasn't at the point.
Maybe if he was at that dot, yeah, maybe he would. But I feel like all you would see is the puck miss the net and just ricochet off the boards and out of the zone.
Yeah. Well, anyway, fuck him anyway. But it just occurred to me. He seems like he's a more talented player than he's he's not really leaving his mark at this point at age 31. Maybe a change of scenery might do him some good. So the Penguins now go into next week. They're tracking pretty close to the Islanders and Capitals, who are a few points ahead of them, especially after a couple of big losses last week to the Bruins and to the Rangers. But they took care of business last week in New Jersey. New Jersey was scrappy, didn't give up, but also couldn't overcome, some bad starts and bad middles. And so the Penguins now look forward to, they have a 3-day rest, which is quite a luxury in this season. So they did not play Monday night or tonight. They're off tomorrow. And then on Thursday, they get Philadelphia. And in their next 6 games, they got Philadelphia once, Buffalo twice, and New Jersey 3 times. So they're looking, hopefully by the end of next week of maybe winning enough of those games to really kind of cement their place somewhere in the playoff picture in the division before they, pick up with some tougher teams again toward the end of the month. And those are my points. I think, Steve, what did you think about how New Jersey played against the Penguins in that series transition?
Ugh.
Yeah.
So for my first point, fuck Sidney Crosby. He's a fucking crybaby bitch. For my second point, fuck Panarin. He's a crybaby bitch. For my third point, fuck Barzell. He's a crybaby bitch. And for my fourth point, fuck Subban. He's a crybaby bitch. On to you, Tom. Go.
Wow. Impressive.
Wow.
Succinct.
Holy hell.
I'm not having fun this season, guys. I'm not having fun.
I don't blame you, but fuck the Devils. So
Okay.
the kid line since last week when Quinn put those guys together, Kako, Hedel, and Lafreniere. Hey, look, Lafreniere's had 2 goals, have been a +2. Kako's a goal and 4 assists with a +3 rating. Hedel's a 4 assists with +3.
What a fucking self-absorbed Ranger fan to really think that those were my 4 points and I was just going to pass it along to him.
Oh, look, well,
Right? What a fucking cock you are.
So going back to my 4 points,
We really thought there was nothing interesting to say about the Devils.
I
thought I had actually covered.
I thought he was so unhappy that was it. So it wasn't anything about self-absorbed. It was just you passing the baton and me just running with it like I normally do. So
Yeah, well, I think that's a really good point.
It really is. Thank you. Not including tonight, but a lot of Twitterverse was on DQ about putting this line together and taking Lafreniere away from Strome and Panarin. But look, the kid line has really showed up to play every single night, and in some cases this past week it was their best line against the Islanders. Probably on the game, the second game that went to overtime. That kid line was probably their best line all night, just to consistency in their game and the way that they're playing. They're cycling down low. They're taking shots. I think the message is finally clear that you got to shoot the puck. I mean, this is the NHL. You're not going to score unless you shoot the puck, right? So New York state of mind. Hey, we're continuing this metropolitan area hockey. 5 out of 8 points is a pretty good start, especially against their opponents in the Islanders and the Penguins. Look, to beat the Penguins and put up 8 goals against them in a game is something that we don't do very often. But the next game against the Penguins is something we do very often. And that is, really shitting the bed that second game and really laying back and allowing the teams that we just, shit on the game before to come back and really play hard. And look, they know that they're going to play hard, but we don't do any adjustments. We just take it and we lose the game. So I've seen enough of those games where we blow teams out one game, then the next game they don't blow us out, but we're never really in the second game. I've watched enough of those games all season. And hey, going to the island and taking 3 out of a possible 4 points on the island, not many teams can claim that they have done that this year, let alone beat the Islanders in regulation in the barn, so to speak.
Can we just backtrack to your point about putting up 8 goals against the Penguins?
Who the fuck unmuted you, by the way? Who unmuted you?
Me.
Why? You're still no. Why are you unmuted?
Because I have a point that I want to make.
Fine. Go ahead.
It's a political climate, Tom, where you have to let him talk, please.
I wanted to point out that you guys definitely seem to put up a lot of goals against any team that plays in the state of Pennsylvania. Right? Didn't you put up almost 9 goals against the Flyers twice?
9 and 8.
Yeah. So
Yes.
for you to say that you don't score a lot of goals is fucking stupid. Go on to your next point.
I was talking the second.
Go on to your next point. Go on to your next point.
Game after that game. But instead, you're making hand gestures and speaking into the phone on mute. Well, maybe not the phone, into your computer. Talked about
you
this.
all just get along.
Not right now.
Fuck him.
Let's see. You know what I'm talking about? So we talked a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, about Artemi Panarin being probably the best free agent pickup on the Rangers in the history of the Rangers. Maybe even I'm not going to say the league because I'm sure there was somebody better. But in Ranger history, in the first 100 games, nobody has more points than Artemi Panarin, and he just eclipsed Mark Messier in the 100th game for Artemi Panarin tonight. 45 goals, 93 assists, and 138 points in his first 100 games as a Ranger. Mark Messier put up 45 and 92 for 137 in 91-92 and 92-93. So congratulations to Artemi Panarin. And I mean, I'm looking at this list, and it's got Jágr on it, it's got Gretzky on it, it's got Gaborik, it's got Bernie Nichols, Michael Nylander. Oh yeah, he played with Jágr for a long time. Pat for
Brian Skrudland.
I don't think Brian Skrudland's on this list, Billy.
Oh.
I don't think he is. But look, a lot of these players were traded for, and some were drafted for sure. But as a free agent signing, I'd be hard pressed to find anybody better than Panarin. being the best free agent signing for a team in their history. And my
Dude, I
last,
smell an assignment for next week.
I
Could be an
well maybe
assignment
not
for
for.
next week.
I think I'm gonna save that for the off season.
Okay.
But it is definitely something that I do want to do with everybody. And the last point is 2 out of our last 4 games, not one power play. That's telling me a little something that they're not working hard enough in the corners. Against the Islanders in that first game, they didn't have a power play, even though they won the game. And tonight against New Jersey, so I guess it really doesn't matter. They won both games, but they didn't get any power play opportunities in both of those games. And it's 2 out of their last 4 games that they haven't done so. So I think that needs to be looked at, and they need to start generating some more forecheck in the offensive zone to kind of draw those power plays. Those are my 4 points. Nick, on to you.
I will say I think I can find at least one better free agent signing very easily, at least in my opinion. Martin St. Louis, pretty good pickup from unrestricted free agent. He was bought out by Calgary and then picked up by Tampa. They signed him in 2000.
Okay,
pretty decent.
Thanks,
But
Nick.
Yeah. Like, thanks, Dick.
I said
Shit
Nick,
all over my point.
Just to be sure. I said Nick. That's fine.
Anyway, all right. So this week, Isles were 3-1, incredibly. It didn't feel like a 3-1 week, to be honest. They didn't look very outside of the Washington game, where it was a really tight game, and I thought they played pretty well. We had games against the Flyers and then 2 against the Rangers. And
Fuck the Flyers.
Fuck the Flyers.
Flyers.
In the Flyers game and in one of the Ranger games, we had 2-goal leads and then ended up going overtime. Luckily, won both of them. One in the shootout, one in overtime. But those are the things that we have to shore up before the playoffs start, is keeping that lead. And I think personally, I think it has to do with the lines, and I'm not sure if they've really figured out where Zajac and Palmieri fit in exactly yet, but the team hasn't looked quite comfortable. It feels like they're just a little off. They've had some really good periods, and then other periods have just trailed off in the last few games, and it just felt very samey the last 3 games. So I'm hoping that it's just a feeling out process. Walsham is out with injury. He'll be back shortly. But with Palmieri and Zajac, likely Leo will be out when Walsham's back. Leo's currently still back on the team until Walsham's back from injury. Miguel Cole probably be sitting on the bench. Bellows is on the bench with the new guys coming in, and probably won't play in the playoffs. Likely, I mean, maybe a game here and there in the next few games, but he was kind of on that cusp with as being the rookie, one of the 4 rookies in the team, and having a hard time keeping that spot. So interesting week, very interesting week with the moves. The second point is going to be with the new guys on the team. We got Palmieri and Zacha both looking like they're trying to figure everything out. I didn't expect them to come in and just all of a sudden sink in with everything. It's going to probably take a couple weeks, and I'm hoping they can figure it all out before the playoffs start. Palmieri did get a goal, to kind of get the monkey off his back. They've looked more comfortable each game, so that's been a good thing. It's just I don't know if we figured out the lines yet. And I think that's going to be the trick, is where does everybody slot in into which spots. I think that gives us more flexibility, which is great, but we don't have a lot of time to figure it out is the problem. So I think that's going to be the real thing to figure out, is can Barry get the right lineups in the next couple weeks before playoffs begin, in order to keep the team, churning through, playing real well and playing 60 minutes, because they haven't been playing 60 minutes in the last few games, and it's really shown. In my opinion, they've been lucky to get 3 wins out of 4 this week, especially against the Rangers twice. The Rangers look much better. They look way better than they did at the beginning of the season, and they're going to be tough games with them, and definitely with. I'm not too worried about the Bruins yet. I think the Bruins are going to be interesting to watch with.
That's
Hall,
a good
but
attitude going into those games, Nick. That's the attitude we're looking for.
I'm not too worried about them. But we'll see. We'll see how that team looks. I don't think it's going to change with Hall at all. I think that was. I don't think the Hall move is a good move.
I agree.
I don't think he's the piece. I don't know. Other than that, though, Coburn's dry. He'll be down there. He'll be down. He's gonna be on short quarantine coming from Ottawa. He was driving from New York to Ottawa to New York, and they said he has to be. It was like a 4 or 5 day kind of quarantine. I don't know what exactly the real ruling is on him. That was kind of the report from one of the beat writers. So I don't know if that's how accurate that is or how long he'll be in quarantine, but he'll be likely on the team soon. With the trades happening, I was gonna say the best thing that happens out of the trades for me is that we didn't end up moving any of the major prospects. We only moved a first and a second. I'm sorry, first and a fourth, maybe third, hopefully a third. And so those are not, while they are pieces, they're not the guys we've already invested time and money into. I was afraid they might move Bellows or Beauvillier. Beauvillier mostly because of basically having to resign him. He could still move it before the end of the year. It could happen, or after the end of the year, I should say, at the end of the season, if they don't feel they can make the contracts work. But I think they'll figure it out, and maybe they'll make a deal at some point with Seattle, taking somebody off their plate if they have to. But without that first round pick off the board, that means that they don't have that to dangle in front of Seattle. So to take somebody that they want them to take. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. All the major prospects, like I said, are still the team. So a couple defensemen I was really hoping wouldn't be moved. And with that said, I did mention what I wanted to mention was that the Seattle expansion, which we'll definitely talk about in future seasons, future episodes. With the roster playoff basically complete. Aside from the playoff push, we have right after that, it's going to be the drafts coming up, and how that's going to affect everything. So I think looking at it, I did take a quick peek, and we didn't take anybody on that we would have to, protect. So the team looks pretty solid in terms of that. They'd have to ask a couple guys to probably waive their clauses. They have limited, movement. I don't think that's a problem for Leo, Komarov, and Boychuk and Ladd, but Boychuk I mentioned because he has it, but he's on like LTIR, and I don't know how that works out with that when it comes to the expansion.
They can trade. I don't think they can. I don't think
he'd
claim,
have to.
but I think they can trade the LTIR to another team.
Right, but I think he'd still have to waive it in order to for them not to have to exempt him, because he does have a limited movement, even though he's on LTIR. I'm not sure if he's exposed, or they have like automatically, or they have to protect him because of his no movement clause. So I think it's because it's limited, they'd have to ask him to waive it. No one's going to take him, so I don't think it's a problem. Same with Ladd. Ladd and Boychuk in the same boat. No one's taking those contracts. And Leo.
Well, somebody would be more likely to take Boychuk's contract than Ladd's contract because it's LTIR. It's money you can bury and go over the cap with.
Well, the point is, would Seattle take his contract?
No, but I don't think they can. Is the point there?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but the point I was making was like, I don't think it'll be that difficult of a conversation to tell all three of them to, basically like, listen, can you waive it so we can protect the guys we need to protect? No one's taking your stuff. No one's gonna take you. No, like Seattle's not coming to us and saying, "Oh, we want Komarov." No one gives a shit about Leo. They're not taking him. No one's gonna take him. And then Ladd, Boychuk, like I said, they're not even playing, and there's no incentive unless we send them picks or prospects to take those guys off our contract. So maybe Ladd they try to move Ladd to free up space to sign other guys with that, but that's another conversation for another day. I thought it was good to see that we didn't really take on any additional contracts that would have to really now make a decision, like who do you keep, this guy or this guy? That's going to be the interesting part, and they still have some interesting decisions to make like everybody else, but I think it'll be interesting. It's just it was good to see they didn't have to. We have options. So
It's not the Islanders who have to make those difficult decisions this offseason. It's a lot of teams that got to make this difficult decisions this offseason. So
Washington, they're gonna
It's
have
gonna
they're gonna have to make some interesting moves.
Tampa,
Tampa.
Toronto. I mean, all these teams are going to have to make some interesting decisions, and it's going to be interesting, to say the least. Steve, would you like to give your 4 points now? Seeing
No,
it,
the
I
only
might-
one
What crybaby bitch are we gonna pick on next?
The only one I really wanted to touch on was Holtz's season is over in Sweden. So hopefully Fitzgerald said they were working on an entry-level deal. Really, the only thing that work on is the bonus structure of the entry-level deal, and then work on the immigration status. And hopefully he'll be over here at some point in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's actually Zach Jones. Welcome to the New York Rangers. Rangers signed Zach Jones.
See what I mean? Fucking just making it about the Rangers. It does,
I
fuck.
absolutely
Jesus
did that on
Christ.
purpose. I absolutely did that on purpose.
That's
But
fantastic.
I didn't actually get to it, but he did sign with the Rangers today. So won a national championship. Now coming over. Just want to throw that out there.
And since you mentioned that, Jeff Carter with the Penguins is such a. I didn't have anything really. This was a real hurt your feelings podcast tonight.
It really was a really hurt your feelings podcast.
Well-
Was it hurt Steve's feelings podcast?
No, just mine. Yeah, nobody else's feelings are fucking hurt. Nobody else gives a shit.
I was very hurt by how good soundboard Bill is compared to actual Bill.
You guys-
Well,
It's living his shadow.
listen, Bill. We couldn't have soundboard Billy without regular Billy. Okay.
Thanks. I promised Miss I wouldn't do this.
I think I'm going to a Kansas City Royals game next Tuesday, so maybe there'll be soundboard Steve.
Who are they playing?
Royals.
Who are they playing?
The 103rd. I don't know. What are you?
We'll never be Royals.
Hey, that's going to do it for us this week. Don't forget to tune in every week to listen to this fucking drivel. So don't forget to follow us on the Twitter at friends_rivals. Facebook.
If you listen to this podcast, just kill yourself. Just kill yourself.
YouTube Friends and Rivals podcast. When you're on the YouTube, click comment and share. Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get them. Don't forget to give us a rating and maybe even give us a review, because it probably will help our show out a lot. I'm not sure if anybody has done that, but kudos to you if you did. And that one guy in India, thanks for listening, pal. Billy, sing us out.
Who wants it next?
Oh, my friends and rivals. Flyers fuck, flyers fuck, flyers fuck.